Welcome to this list of the top 5 best top laners in patch 6.15. Now I have missed a few out. I think Gnar and Trundle are probably in there as well, and Vladimir, even though he got a nerf this patch. But I still think they're very strong. So without further ado, here's my top 5 list. So starting off our number 5 is Yasuo. Now I think Yasuo does very well against certain champs. The ones that aren't ranged or don't have much poke. He can farm very safely, and the build isn't full crit. He can actually build some tank items, even some 5k I've seen people using. There's so many different builds for Yasuo. I mean, sometimes people just do the 100% crit build, so they build Infinity Edge, Static Shiv, and then the rest is all tank. And then some people just go full damage. It depends how well you go. There's also a lifesteal build that people are doing. But Yasuo is very strong at the moment. He has quite a good ring rate as well. However, he does get countered quite easily against champions like Darius. Will definitely beat him. Jax does quite well against him as well, and some champs like Maokai. But most of the champions, like maybe Gnar, does well against him as well. But there's a lot that he does very well in lane. And once you farmed up with him, he's pretty much unkillable. And number 4, we have Darius. Now Darius is still very strong in lane and out. The only thing with him, he does get kited. So team fights, if you can't transition well in team fights, then Darius isn't probably the best pick. That's why he's quite low on the list. He is a lane bully. He does very well in lane, and his passive is just, if you've got a bit of tanky items and you can do a lot, like a long fight with another tanky top laner, you get so much AD as well. Another reason he's very strong, he counters a lot of the meta champions, like even Aurelia he does kind of well against. Jax he does pretty well against. There's a lot, but Gnar, Vladimir, Rumble do very well against him, but if he does catch you, then he probably will kill you. So it depends on a player as well, but Darius is a very strong pick, and don't be afraid to pick him if you do want to do it in rank. And number 3, we have Ryze. Now I did leave him out on our last top lane tier list. However, I have played against a lot of Ryzes, and he is very weak early. Like, I think he's even weaker now early. But once you get going, once he gets to his level 3, 4, or he gets his tier going, then he's pretty much unstoppable. He's hard to get. He's got good poke. You can't really poke him that well. If you do poke him, he's going to poke you back. But he's only thing that I suggest doing against Ryze or playing with Ryze is don't get pushed to your tower or push Ryze to the tower, because he finds it hard to farm under there, and he'll finish most of his mana early. So if you are against a Ryze, I know it's sometimes hard, but do push him. And also, the reason he is very strong and number 3 on our list is outside of lane, he can pretty much one-shot the enemy mid laner. Like, he'll be probably a bit tanky as well. He's great for team fights, also with his ultimate. The only thing is that he's not so good at top lane. He's an AP carry, so he can't really push the towers as well as some champions. So if you do really want to really split push or really push fast, don't pick Ryze. But if you just want to really have a nice laning phase and transition to a team fighting, Ryze is very good to pick up. Second on our list, we have Fiora. Now Fiora is great in lane. She does well against squishies, and she does well against tanks. With her ultimate dishing out like around, with her passive, 12% max health damage as true damage. It's very strong. Even it can burst down most tanks as well. Now with the Hydra changes, which is very cheap to buy, it's very good for her. She can push in quite hard, and you get to that power spike or push in the lane before anyone can build a Sunfire Cape, or if someone builds a Hydra, you're more likely to out damage them as well. So Fiora is very strong this patch, and she'll probably be played a lot, and probably people will start banning her as well. She also does very well in team fights as well. So the only thing is, if she is CC'd with most champions as well, if they're CC'd, they don't do very well. But a lot of people are building just one tanky item on Fiora, like Dead Man's Plate, and this can sustain through it as well. If there's a lot of magic damage, some people are building Banshee's Veil as well. So, but she can pretty much one-shot the AD carry, even with Black Cleaver and some tanky items. Last but not least, we have Aurelia. Now in patch 6.15, she's still as strong as before. Now I debated whether putting Fiora at the top or Darius, but I've stuck with Aurelia as well. So I'm a bit of an Aurelia fanboy, but what can you do? So Aurelia is still very strong. She had a nerf to her ultimate. Still, she has great sustain in lane. You just have to be a bit more careful with her ultimate.
The shadow